All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome to SNSN. It's a Friday morning, and interesting day today. And we're honored to have a gentleman here who is. I throw this word around a lot today, but an icon. You know, and also one half of probably the most famous power couple in journalism in Connecticut. So it's John Shishmanian. How you doing, John?
I'm doing great. Thanks a lot for that kind introduction. Yes, my wife, Angela Dias, WTIC for 35 years.
I know.
Yep. She's the news anchor there, Morning Drive.
Yep. I remember listening because I would listen to TIC in the morning. With
Bob Steele.
Bob Steele, word of the day.
Yeah, word of the day. Yep.
So I actually did the word of the day once, and somebody said, "Don't copy Bob. Don't do that."
Get your own material.
If you mispronounce a word, he would let you know.
Yeah.
So
didn't he do the last few years from his house?
I think he may have either that or he didn't come in too often. He just worked like one day a week, I think, at the end. If I remember right.
All right.
And we have an encyclopedia and a dictionary signed by him.
Really?
That he gave to Angela one long time ago.
Very, very good.
Yeah.
Let's see. All right, so let's talk about. I really want to talk about you and your career, and actually, you have a lot of ties to Griswold, which I don't know if people really realize. So, first of all, you worked for the Norwich Bulletin for how many years?
I started in '79, so retired almost a year ago next month. So 43 years, just at the Bulletin.
Yeah. So you and nowhere else, just the Norwich
I did
Bulletin.
a little bit of freelancing for the Chronicle, but not much. And I do have a Griswold connection about how I got the job too.
I remember as a youngster, picking up, because the Norwich Bulletin was the news source back then. It was the absolute news source in this area, and then everything you saw, it had photo by John Shishmanian. Everything. I mean,
I wasn't the only one, but
you were the only one to me, John.
Not only that, I think just people got to recognize you. I remember going to just different events, and people would see you, and they'd be like, "Oh, the photographer's here. We're going to get in the newspaper. We're going to be in the newspaper," because they would see you walking around, and they would. I mean, certain people, they would try to position themselves to try to be in the pictures you were taking.
He's walking by, John's walking by, and people are going.
And I would always take their photo. It would be take my photo, and I'd always do it. It was just one more frame, and then a lot of times if it was a good picture, then I'd put it up online or would use it. Yep. I never turn people down when they everyone wants to be in the newspaper.
Of course,
and you said yes. And
I can remember being as an adult doing this is just a few years ago, doing a basketball game in Killingly. And I'm there with Kevin Merchant. We're up in the stands and we're doing. John's on the other side. I get a text. It's a picture of Merchant and I. It's a picture of us.
It wasn't just a team. It's a whole thing. It's the fans. It's the cheerleaders. It's the referees. It's the police that are there to protect you. It's everybody. I'd shoot anyone that moved. And people knew that they were, fair game for me, and it was just a lot of fun. I loved it. I never ever didn't want to come into work. I loved it. I loved every day of it. I mean, it's a great job, and people 30, 40, 50 years in that business. It's just people don't leave. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Which kind of leads into my next question. What is it that for example, not every photographer has the longevity. They come and they go, like almost any career or any job. But what is it with you? What was the sauce that was the key to your longevity, especially with one newspaper?
Well, they treated me very well. I never had any problems, never had any issues. No one complained. They were happy. I brought in the product. They liked my photos. They used them, and I felt that I was, welcomed and appreciated there. And of course, I was born in Norwich. Well, I was born at Bacchus, but I lived on Hill Street, right across the
Yeah.
street from the Little League
So you're
field
saying-
here in your town.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm a Griswold native.
So which I want to get into, because actually we were talking outside, Kathy, about some of the things that, you know, he's connected to here. It's like you never would have known.
Yep.
I'm going to tell you one of the things that I know that really like helped me, like it, you know, there's always some sort of an association, you know, that you remember somebody with. You have one of those last names. And it's a long last name,
Yeah.
but it's not hard to say,
No,
right? And if you see it, you remember it.
people do.
You know, so, you know, then it was like, that's Shishmanian. Oh, I know that guy.
Yeah.
Do you really know?
Yeah.
No, his
name.
pictures in the
Yeah.
paper and stuff like
Mhm.
that all the time.
Yep.
So you had that name recognition, you know, everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny when we go on vacations, people would recognize me, whether we were when we were in Hawaii on our honeymoon. I was taking pictures of my wife, and this guy bumped into me, and I said, well, I moved aside, and then he bumped into me again. I said, what the heck? Turned around. It was the principal of Plainfield High School.
Oh my God. Small world.
Yeah. And many, many trips that I've been on, Florida, wherever, I
Sure,
just see
sure.
people because tens of thousands of people I've taken pictures of, and you remember someone who took your photo, or, you know,
Mhm.
it's just because it's a special moment, you know, if you get your picture on the front page or wherever. So I just enjoyed, and I enjoy talking to people. I kind of miss that a little bit since I've been retired for almost a year.
Mhm.
But you might be seeing me again because I will be doing some freelancing for the Bulletin soon.
And that's exciting. There's just something I met this year that's kind of like missing, you know, and it's like, where's Shish? He's not around.
Well, I will be back. I will be
Watching you on the sidelines,
Oh,
and
yeah,
you know, it's weird. I'll be honest, it's weird not having you there.
Yeah, well, I don't. The last day of work, I didn't regret it. I was happy. I had done everything in 43 years. I didn't miss it. It was time to retire. My wife had been retired for almost 3 years, and this was time to travel and see my kids more. And I remember the first week I just drove to New York City because one of my sons lives there, and I just felt like going to see him.
Mm-hmm.
I just drove up to New York City
Sure.
on a Thursday, which I never could have done when I was working.
Yeah.
It was nice. It's nice to be retired.
Did you ever have those mornings where the alarm clock went off and your wife just rolls over and goes, "It's for you"?
No, my wife would get up at 3 a.m. to get on the air.
Did she still do that?
No,
Because
no, no.
all right, so she's been able to
That's
adjust from that.
awful.
Yeah. That didn't take. Took 1 day. She adjusted quickly. Yeah, she gets up the same as me now, maybe 7:30. Have some coffee, and then
Very nice.
do whatever we want to do.
One day,
That's
huh? And
great.
then
Yeah, that was it.
see, because Melissa's got to get up at 4 o'clock,
Oh.
4:30 in the morning, to go to work. She doesn't work in broadcasting or
Yeah,
anything,
yeah.
but
That's an awful
yeah.
time to be getting
Yeah.
up.
I
but
know.
even on her days off, she's up.
No,
Yeah.
your
It's
body
like-
gets used to that.
think
I
so.
know, yeah.
One day. That's
Yeah.
hilarious. All right, so let's get into some things that people don't know about you, or maybe not as familiar. Everybody knows you're a wonderful photographer. I think you're the best that I've ever seen, and as far as the pictures that you take, I've always
Thank
loved
you.
your pictures, and I've said that to you. And I'm not trying to butter you up.
But
I
he is.
really,
No,
I really honestly
Yeah.
felt that way because I grew up looking at your pictures.
Mhm.
So this is an honor for me to
Yeah,
have
well,
you actually
thank
have a
you.
conversation with
Thank
you like
you.
this.
Yeah, appreciate it.
So what about Ben Desonier from Killingly, the Killingly baseball coach?
Oh yeah.
He just goes, "Shish is the best."
Well,
So-
his team is the best.
Hey now, wait a minute.
You can't say that when you're
I
sitting
can't
in
say-
Grizzle.
Oh no.
You're in Grizzle territory
well,
right now.
And then, that's my hometown, so Griswold's the best.
Yeah,
There you go.
Ben's a great coach.
Yeah, he is. He is.
That's great.
Young too.
Yeah,
Very, very
hopefully
young.
he'll be around for a long time.
It was funny. The first year he was there was like I'm trying to find him. I'm thinking he looked like one of the
One of the
players.
players,
He was like,
yeah.
I think he was 22 or something when he started. 22, 23.
Wow.
I don't know.
He
He's
was
a young
very,
guy.
He was
though.
very young when he
Jeez.
started.
Yeah, he still looks very, very. He's got a baby face. Benny got a baby face. So you have a lot of connections to Jewett City and Griswold. So why don't you tell us about that?
Well, as I said, I was born at Bacchus, and we lived here on High Street. And my family, my mom was an Aramone, and everybody in Griswold remembers Aramone's Bakery.
Sure,
Yeah,
sure.
of course.
And Aramone's Bakery used to be a clothing store back in the, I don't know,
I didn't know that.
20s or 30s or 40s, and my mom and her sisters and brothers all worked there, and we owned that building. That was before Phil and Kitty Aramone came in.
Sure.
And opened up the best bakery in Connecticut or New England. I don't know.
You need to talk to some of your family members and see if we can get something going again, because we need something like that back.
Yeah, we need more whoopie pies.
This is my favorite.
Yeah, it was. It was. I have some photos of them back in the day when it was a department store or a clothing store, and I also. Well, as I said, I didn't live here. We moved fairly early. I only lived here for 6 years, but I do remember Griswold. You remember walking to class, to school here, and Phil Aramone is responsible for getting me my job at
Phil
the
Senior.
Bulletin. Phil Senior,
Okay.
Phil, not Dooley, but
Dooley.
I was looking to get the job. I wanted to work at the Bulletin, and I had applied for the job, and they liked my work, but they said, we don't have a space for you. We have a full complement of photographers. We don't need you, but if somebody leaves or whatever, we'll let you know. And so Phil was friends or cousins with Kelly Anthony, also from Griswold, and he was the city editor at the time. So every week or two, he would call or see him at a coffee shop or whatever, and he'd say, "Have you hired my cousin yet?" He says, "I'd love to, but I can't." And time went on, and finally, I heard that Jeff Evans, who worked there with me for 20 years, went on vacation for 2 weeks, and I said, I said, "I'll come in and cover for him for 2 weeks," and they said, "Sure, yeah, come on in, because we're going to need you." Because back then, the paper was huge. There were a lot of photos. We covered so many towns. We had bureaus everywhere, and they had reporters taking photos, and they didn't, the cameras were old and they're broken down. And so I came in for 2 weeks and shot, and I had, they loved my work. I had photos that ran Associated Press and UPI. Boston Globe picked up my photos. Hartford Courant used I had a real good 2 weeks.
Wow.
And then that came to an end.
That was just in that 2 week span.
Just in that 2 week span.
Wow.
Yep. And then Jeff came back, and I decided, hey, I'll just show up on Monday, uninvited.
They kept you.
Well, I walked in, and I'm thinking, what are they going to say? I mean, what are they going to say?
What
are you doing here?
Yeah.
And they said, "Oh, Shish, oh, great. We got a busy day today. Here's your assignments." Okay.
Oh my God.
So I just had enough nerve just to show up. I loved the job. I had already fallen in love with the job.
Oh my God.
And I just, it was months before I was officially hired, before I did any paperwork, because we used privately owned by the Oat and Noyce family back then.
Oh.
And they just, I got paid, but I never made out an application. I was just there.
Oh my God.
And
that's a great story.
America was discovered
Cool.
by mistake, and so was John Shishmanian.
Seriously, that's quite a story.
Yeah,
you don't hear things like that, especially these
You
days.
can't do that.
No, not
anymore.
now.
No.
Just show up.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Oh my God.
Then 43 years later.
Here we are.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Just a lot of fun experiences over the years. I mean, a lot of assignments up here in Griswold. I mean, it was always fun to come up and watch the football games here and the basketball games, and my connection to Griswold I always think of Griswold because we're up here a lot.
Sure.
It's just it's a great little town, and it's my hometown.
Yeah.
It wasn't that long ago where you talked about you had mentioned that there were boroughs everywhere.
Oh yeah.
For the Norwich Bulletin.
Yeah.
I remember when I started this about 8 years ago, so it's not that long ago. That every town had their own writer from the Norwich Bulletin.
Oh yeah.
We had a young lady. I forget her name. She was I think she became just a
Sue Terrific.
No.
I
remember that name, but there was another one. Anyway, but each town had their own writer, and now the way we see it, it's not like that anymore.
No. Well,
it's not like that
times
anymore
have
at all.
changed
So,
drastically.
I know. Well, we had over 250 employees back then.
Wow.
There were a lot of employees, and we covered from the shore to the border.
Right.
Woodstock and Thompson down to Mystic and Stonington and to London. And I did a lot of driving back then.
I bet. So what happened? Just the way business went, and the advent of the internet and that kind of stuff.
I remember when the internet came, and I was wondering, why are they giving the news away? They're not, I didn't think it was a good move, but that's the way things are now. And just fewer and fewer employees work for newspapers nationwide. And it's a shame because local news is important to keep an eye on what's going on in politics and in government. And now that they don't have investigative reporters as much as they used to, I think things are going to be missed.
Oh,
and
definitely.
But that's the way things are now. And
is that the new generation though? Like, do you think a lot of the new generation, do you think they even care?
Well, they should.
I don't know if they do, to be honest.
Yeah, they should care, but they're getting their news in other sources, and sometimes they're not accurate.
Well, it's not even the news that they're getting; they're just getting opinions.
Yeah, exactly.
On some news topics.
Yeah.
It's not even that they're necessarily getting the news; they're just getting what other people's thoughts are.
I know
on it, and that's not helpful.
No.
And there's nothing more truthful than pictures.
Yeah. Although nowadays, they can all be altered.
That's right.
You can't even take a picture for what it's worth anymore because you don't know if it's been altered.
I remember even watching TV news back in the day, and it was like, I'm Walter Cronkite, and you trusted that name.
Yeah.
And you trusted
Not
Peter
anymore.
Jennings and Sam Donaldson, and many others.
Yeah.
But
I met and got to photograph Walter Cronkite.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Oh, that was.
We were. I was on board the USS Bark Eagle out of the Coast Guard Academy. We went from London to New York City to celebrate the 100th anniversary of the Statue of Liberty, and he was one of the guest speakers there. And I was like, my God, it's like, oh my God, it's Walter Cronkite.
Starstruck.
I was starstruck. And there was a lot of media on board the ship, and I just took some pictures. I said something to him just casually. I didn't really chat with him because that's a reporter's job.
Yeah.
But it was an honor to be there with him. And the job was like that. I photographed at least 7 different presidents over the years. From President Ford to President Carter, both Bushes, Ronald Reagan, Jimmy Carter, Obama. Most of them were at the Coast Guard Academy because he would come in for the graduations.
I remember one being at NFA. Was that Clinton?
That was Clinton.
Clinton
I was
at
there for that.
NFA years ago.
Yep. I was there for that. And that was one of the highlights. I mean, you don't get to see or get, be that close to the leader of the country.
Not normal people.
No.
Yeah.
Not average people.
Yeah.
And I think it's so true that through your 40 plus years at the Bulletin, you've touched so many people with your work. Erica just made a comment. She goes, my favorite photo of my son is the one John captured at the Snowflake Parade 7 years ago. He was almost 1, the kid, not you, hanging out in his red wagon, chilling with his sunglasses and Santa hat.
I remember that photo.
Do you really? Okay.
I remember it.
Gosh.
Yeah, I remember that.
I would think that you would probably remember most photos if somebody jogs your memory.
You have to tell me a little bit about it first.
Yeah.
But after I've taken 8 million photos over these
Oh my
4+ decades. 8 million. I mean, obviously they weren't all published, but
Right. Yeah.
that's how many times I hit the shutter
Holy
on
cow.
multiple cameras that I've owned over the years. There was another, the Snowflake Parade. I remember another photo of a little, I don't know if it's the same one or not, had a great big lollipop. And the lollipop was almost as big as the baby's head. And it was just a cute little picture.
Oh.
It was either a big lollipop or the kid had a really small head.
Yeah.
But Erica goes on to say, actually made the front page of the paper.
Cool.
Yeah.
So just to give you an idea, do you realize? Do you ever sit back and realize? You're a pretty humble guy, but do you ever sit back and just, say, look at your wife and go, I've touched a lot of people in their lives, and that's really, really amazing.
Well, I've always thought that it was so important, when you get a photo, that it's going to be the best photo. You want them to look great. You want them to be comfortable. I'd always chat with them, ask permission if it's okay to take their picture, unless there was a crowd scene, and then I would ask afterwards. And then if they didn't want the photo, we wouldn't use it. I was honored, and I just can't explain how much it meant. It's a life that like I said, every moment, every day, every experience. There is another Griswold connection I just remembered about the Statue of Liberty. The Gerard brothers, I don't know if you remember, they sewed together a full-scale Statue of Liberty hot air balloon out of the garage.
Wait a minute, they used to live in Hawkins.
Okay. Hawkins?
Because they would blow up their hot air balloon like twice a year, and I'm on Wilson Street. So here's Shishmanian on High Street. Here's Minarski, and here's hot air balloon. So just give you an idea.
Wow.
Yeah,
How did they find the room for that?
I have no idea.
It was you remember that? You remember on Hawkins Street, Mike?
Hot air balloon?
The hot air balloon, the people that would... Yeah.
It was literally almost 3 times the size of a regular hot air balloon. It was a full size of the Statue of Liberty.
How did they fit in there?
I don't know.
And they lifted off from Kelly Junior High School back in the early 80s. And there was like 6 or 7 other hot air balloons. And I took this photo, the photo when all the hot air balloons are lifting up at the same time, along with the Statue of Liberty balloon. And after I took the photo, I had to run to my hot air balloon, which it was about to take off, and I'm leaping in it as it's lifting, because they weren't waiting for me. And then I took photos as we flew over Norwich, and a French magazine actually contacted me, and they wanted photos for of the.
So you're international.
I guess so. Yeah. I thought
that's pretty cool.
So many fun experiences. You just can't get a job like this. And like I said earlier,
unless you just walk in and they're not expecting you.
Yeah.
And you just say, I'm here.
Yeah, I'm here. It'd be something to shoot.
That's the best story ever.
Yeah.
It's kind of like what I did here. I just showed up, and I'm like,
was that what happened?
I'm kidding.
I don't know. Actually, kind of
was. Yeah.
It kind of was.
Because Rich couldn't make it.
Her husband.
Yeah.
So we started calling the show Mike and a Wassilic because we didn't know which one was showing up. And first it was Rich. And then Rich had a medical issue that he needed to tend to. So he was out for 8 months.
A while. Yeah, it was a long time.
So Kathy goes, well, I can fill in for him. Mm-hmm. So now she comes in, and once in a while he'll fill in for her. But it's nice when he gets to come in too. I asked you this kind of off the cuff one day. Oh, that's him.
Okay.
Have you ever thought about, or can you, or will you, or thought about coming up with like a picture book? Because I'd buy it in a minute.
With 8 million of them, that would be one hell of a book.
Yeah.
I have to go through Gannett. They own copyright to every photo I took over the years. They own my camera equipment. They own a copyright to everything that I have. I have to get permission from them, which actually I I graduated from Eastern Connecticut State University, and they did a story on me when I retired, and we had to get special permission to republish the photos they used with this story because I graduated from there, and they wanted to
Sure, yeah.
do a story on me, but I can't do that unless go through a lot of hoops. But maybe
They should, though. They're going to look bad if they don't.
I was just wondering
especially
if there was any taking pictures.
I took a picture of your phone because I'm on it.
Yeah.
So now he's taking pictures of himself. Look at this.
That's what I do.
Is there any like expiration dates for copyright?
You know what? I don't know. You mean like movie after it?
Yeah, like
sometimes
I'm wondering,
movies
if
public domain.
If you're doing this for 43 years, I'm wondering if photos from 20 years ago maybe are no longer copyrighted or something like that, or 30 years ago are no longer.
Because I do have some. I do have some photos.
There we go. Touche.
Yeah. I think the first week that I was working before I was covering for Jeff, I went up to Mohegan Park where they used to have a zoo.
Yes, I remember the zoo.
And there was this
The monkeys.
little blonde girl, maybe 3 years old.
Monkeys. They had lions.
They had bears.
Yeah.
They had bears.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember.
And I took a picture of this little girl. She was sitting on top of this pig, which was part of the zoo. And she was dressed up real cute and the curly blonde hair. And I took her picture, and her mom gave me her name. The photo ran all over, like it was the one I was talking about, Boston Globe, Hartford Courant. Everyone ran the picture. I met that woman 30 years later.
The little girl?
The little girl.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, it would be cool to look into. I bet your copyright's got to have an end date.
I can check on that.
That'd be cool.
Actually, Rich.
Oh, yeah.
This dude,
Yeah. I may know him.
He just says most copyrights expire. I learned a while ago, and maybe a long time, but they do expire.
But they do expire.
But we don't know how many years.
Yeah, they may change. I mean, maybe they're each copyright, each company or whatever has a different copyright date.
So you've been retired for a year.
Yep.
And there's a possibility you're coming back.
Yeah. Yep. Actually, I am.
Are you bored?
No, I'm not bored. I've been doing some traveling with my wife and also doing some vacationing with my boys. So I've done that, and I am doing some freelance work right now for United Healthcare out of Bacchus. Mm-hmm. So I am shooting a little bit of freelance work now for them for their breast cancer awareness.
You just can't do any photojournalism right now, right?
Not for the Bulletin. I could for other papers. Oh, okay. They're not hiring. They're not very few freelance jobs available now because newspapers don't have the money for it.
Yeah.
Sure. Justin says it's not a copyright. They just own it.
They own it forever.
I guess. Yeah. Which makes sense, I guess. And from what I understand, Justin, I know don't know each other, but I know what you do, and probably right.
Yeah. Well, there'll be no book for you, Mike.
Yeah. No, but I would like AEW tickets, Justin. So there you go. So I don't even know the guy I'm asking. So there's a possibility that you might come back and do a little freelancing, like for the holidays. And
I've already said that I would work one of the Christmas games. Thanksgiving games. Probably the Plainfield Griswold football game. I loved because I covered many of those over the decades, and sure. I'd love to see. Well, I know that they're going to be playing in Plainfield, but I'd love to see the new turf field here in Griswold.
Oh yeah,
I hear that's beautiful.
There's a game in. Well, let's look on the cup.
Yeah, on the back of the cup is the schedule.
Montville. Oh, wait a minute. So your no compete ends on 11-4, right?
Yes.
Well, look at that. Well,
11-10.
Home against Montville.
I can do it.
That would be awesome.
That would be so cool.
That would be really incredible.
If the managing editor, if your managing editor is listening in, I'm available.
That would be really awesome.
Cool. You got it. You're going to be amazed when you just turn that corner around the back of the school and see that field. You're going to be. You seriously, you're not going to believe what it looks like.
I'm going to be doing this till I'm paws up. So I mean, I don't think I could ever quit.
I know it was hard to quit, but Gannett gave me a very lucrative buyout that I couldn't resist, and
Sure.
I figured it'd be better for me. I'd have more time. My wife and I we took a cruise on the Seine River and from Paris to
Oh, nice.
Normandy and
Mm.
things that I wouldn't have done otherwise. But from my job, speaking of different countries, when we would take trips, my wife would write a story and I would take photos. We over the decades did stories out of Australia, Japan, the former Soviet Union,
Wow.
China, a lot of Europe. It's
Wow.
just the job offered so many opportunities. I photographed a space shuttle launch. Sadly, it was the one where Krista McCullough was watching the launch because it was the last launch before she would go up on the ill-fated flight,
In the
Challenger,
right.
and,
80s,
and die. But I took photos of her watching, watching the liftoff
Wow.
of the Challenger.
Mm.
It was a Challenger, I believe.
Yeah, the one
Yeah.
that, yeah.
Yeah. That,
But the job offered so many opportunities to shoot. I used to go to Yankee games, Red Sox games, Patriot games. I mean, it's just who would want to leave a job like that?
Yeah, that gives you all that opportunity.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh, that is so cool. Yeah, I could see why it was a little difficult to leave.
Oh yeah, yeah. But
Sounds like a lot of fun.
After 43 years, I think I had done most everything.
Everything you could, yeah.
Is there anything else you want to do?
No. I spend more time on my kids. Do more traveling with my wife. Do a little freelancing. Not full time, obviously.
No.
Yeah.
But you want to be able to make your schedule,
Exactly. If
on your own terms.
Yeah. If it's raining on Thanksgiving, I might not go to that game. No. No. If I say I'm going, I will go. I will go. If I say I'm going.
You sit in the booth with us, man.
Yeah, put in an extra long lens. You sit in the booth.
Well, you were definitely missed, out there. I mean, I can say that because it's like, it's like, oh, it's Zahner, oh, you're no Shishmanian. I did tell him that one day.
Yeah.
It was in jest, but
His photos are really good. He's done a great job. I've complimented him many times that the football photos he's had, swimming. I mean, those are hard to shoot, and he's
I
done a
would
great
think
job.
swimming would be very, very
Yep.
tough.
Well, his daughter swims, so I think he's used to it.
Okay.
Now, do you ever get an assignment where you're like, ugh, I really don't, I'm not looking forward to this assignment? It sounds like you had great opportunities, but were there anything where you were like, oh, I really don't like shooting this type of event, or I don't like, it's just wasn't at the top of your list of things?
No, but obviously I did not want to be at major fires. I did not want to be
Right.
at huge automobile accidents.
Mhm.
But back then, that's
Yeah.
what you
Yeah.
covered. And,
Gotcha. Yeah.
where people perish in a fire and I
Mhm.
have to be there. And that's the kind of thing you don't
Yeah, you
want to
don't,
be
right.
at. And it's awful to be standing there with a camera and the people that might be out there have loved ones that are in there. And it's just not something you want to be doing.
Yep.
Other than that, I like I say, I enjoyed, I can just enjoy being with people, talking with people, and I can't remember anything that I didn't want to do.
Yep. Gotcha.
Me either. I mean, doing this and stuff, I can't think of anything that I would. I mean, I I remember working, I worked in retail. I worked for Verizon Wireless for many years and Radio Shack for many, many years.
Mhm.
And the schedule was awful. And I couldn't do anything like as far as going to see kids play or concert or something like that.
Yeah.
It's like you're lucky to get the day off. And they made you feel it.
Uh-huh.
And in those kind of jobs, they also make you feel like, well, you're stuck.
Yeah.
And so you really can't go anywhere else until,
Mhm.
and then I just kind of broke the mold, for myself and got out. And this is like the best thing that I could ever have done
Mhm.
is actually, what? Oh,
We're
okay.
getting a note.
Yep. Hold up. You're
It's
talking
like-
about copyright. Just read it, Michael.
Death whereas copyright protection for the work made by corporations lasts either 95 years from publication
Jeez.
or 120 from creation whichever is shorter.
So a couple of weeks.
Oh my god.
I'll see you in 2052. I'll have that book out.
So your kids or grandkids or whoever, they can publish it for you. Wow.
Some comments here. Let's see. Facebook user. It's actually Susan Hogan. Kevin Hogan's
Kevin
wife.
Hogan's wife.
Oh,
Yep.
wow.
Said, hi, John. He's definitely the best.
Oh, Kevin and I had a great relationship. We would call each other whenever we knew.
I had him on too.
Oh, yeah.
Amazing,
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
he was a great man. And I was so happy that he finally retired and, and Susan's a wonderful woman too. But we would share information and then, arrive at this, it would be like you said, John, I got a breaker. That would be, his term for a big news story. And I would do the same for him.
Let's see. She says, and he can get you a job driving bus.
Yes.
No. Leanne Flores says, Mr. Shish. And oh, hi, Dad. That's
Hi, Dad.
that's Mike over there.
Yeah.
And Tommy, the Buzzcat, Barry. Why Buzzcat? What does that mean, Tommy?
Because it's cool.
And why is it Tomi?
Tomi.
Yeah.
Oh,
Is it Tommy?
Tommy.
Tommy? Tommy. No, let's call him Buzzcat. Anyway, he just says hi. Waving emoji. Let's see. Leanne says, I have many photos of Llama Tsunami saved that John took over the years.
Yes.
So she stole the copyrights, basically.
Well, my son was in that band.
Oh.
Look at the connections.
Yeah.
I don't know what Llama Tsunami is.
It's a ska band.
Ska band. And he played trumpet and he also sang. And he's a musician, professional musician now in New York City.
Wow.
Working on musicals.
Jeez.
I mean, just really sitting here for half an hour, John, with all the connections that you have to so many different people, I mean, just like random. There's Mike and his daughter's in there talking about Llama Tsunami, who she follows.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, there's that connection.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Will,
that's my son.
okay.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's just, and I'm sure that goes on and on and on and on, all of the,
it's like what do they call it? The 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon?
yeah, it's
right?
it's
Like
the 4 degrees of John Shishmanian.
You touch that many people's lives.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is true, John. I mean, you have, I don't know if you've, through the years, have had a chance to really just absorb how much that you've been able to affect people. Like I said, since I was a kid, I would see, photographs by John Shishmanian, and then, okay.
Well,
I went home one day, the very first game that you actually showed up that I was doing. And this is when I was married. And I went, Lee, I was working with John Shishmanian. I have no idea. I was fanboying. I'm not even kidding you. I said, she goes, you mean the photographer? I went, yes! He was there and we talked.
Yeah.
that's a great story.
So just give you an idea how it affected me, and stuff like that. So,
I just remember going around like my kids' sports and things like that, and they would just see you. Like they knew your face and they knew.
Seeing you was iconic as your
yes,
pictures.
absolutely. And they would just know, I might be in the paper. Like that was always a thing with the kids and all the sports we did. And because you were usually somewhere in there at some point.
If Shish was there, then it was important.
Right.
You're the one that said that first to me, and I love
Really?
it. Yeah, that was a very, very nice thing to say. And we went to the important games. I mean, like if there were 2 unbeaten teams, we'd go to those games, and and obviously we would try to go to every team at least once a year, even if it wasn't doing well. And but if Griswold's having a great year, we would be here a lot.
Which is once every couple of decades. This is the year.
Griswold's been killing it
Yeah.
with a lot of their sports for the last year or so.
Anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a million things that I could talk to you about or would love to talk to you about on here, but I would love to invite you back to come back and just talk about more things and maybe get into more of your Grizzle connection.
Yep.
And I think it's just phenomenal.
Leanne has a comment.
See, it's like
Yeah.
it's almost 10 o'clock.
10 o'clock?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're just zipping along, man.
Leanne has a cool comment. She took journalism at Three Rivers.
Yeah.
And when they studied all the articles in the Bulletin, without fail, they'd see your photos while she was studying journalism at the Three Rivers. Said it was like meeting a celebrity. The first Llama Tsunami show.
I can't be appreciative enough of the fact that they hired me, that they kept me on, that, I did work hard. Every assignment I would go to, it would be important. Even if it was something like a check passing something, I would make sure that I knew it was important to the people that were there. I would be friendly. I would try my best to get an interesting picture. I always felt that, and some photographers said, we shouldn't be going to that. I said, no, we go. That's local news.
Yeah. And it's important to them and to that group of folks, it means something, it doesn't have to mean something to everybody, but to them it does.
The next time I'm here, I can talk about Hurricane Gloria.
Oh my God.
I know.
Cover
There's
that.
just so many things we could talk about. So come back Monday. No, we'll definitely schedule a time. Maybe before the Thanksgiving Day game. We'll find out where you're going to be if you're doing it.
Maybe during halftime at the Thanksgiving game.
We could do that too.
There you
That
go.
would be great.
Yep, that'd be
All
cool.
right, Mr. Shishmanian, it's a wonderful honor to have you here, and it's just I'm just flipping back through memories now, of all the pictures that I've seen throughout the years, which is just an ink spot of what you've accomplished in your career. So,
well, thank you for having me on.
Thank
It was a lot of fun.
This is cool. Yeah, definitely need to do this again.
Yeah,
we'll do it again. All right, that's John Shishmanian, formerly of the Norwich Bulletin for now, and formerly now he's of the Shishmanian House.
I'm taking a photo of you.
Oh my God, is the camera wide enough? Anyway, thank you very much, John. Hopefully you'll come back again. Kathy,
I'll
have
be
a good
here
weekend.
at some point. Thank you.
We got youth football coming up tomorrow, Griswold and Westerly. Tomorrow, Micros going for the Super Bowl.
And I think the weather will be cooperative.
It should be cool. We'll be in a booth, so I don't care.
Well, for everyone else.
It's on a turf field.
Okay, but still.
They can roll around. It's fine.
But the spectators.
Yeah. They can bring umbrellas. You can bring easy ups now for crying out loud.
I know.
All right. Have a good weekend, everybody.